Welcome to the wild world of the diagnostic laboratory industry, where we focus on science, compliance, sales marketing, and self-mastery. Welcome to Lab Results with Blake. I'm your host, Blake Bork. So I was bullied as a kid. I was dressed funny, man. My mom worked at a retail store. You may not find this too far of a leap to believe, but my entire family's in sales. My mom was a sales manager for a clothing store for like 35 years in various roles. My dad was a car salesman for 22 years. So, constantly hearing war stories from the pit of car sales. My grandmother was also a buyer in retail clothing, high-end retail clothing. My grandfather was a marketer and a printer, did layout design and printing. And so, my entire family, everyone in the family pretty much is a salesperson. We have one cousin that works in the oil and gas business, and he doesn't do sales. He's in production. So my mom in sales, we always got the best summer clothes during the wintertime and the best winter clothes during the summertime. So I was always wearing like last year's style, and always dressed to the nines. So like I tucked my shirt in, I had a belt on, I buttoned my top collar, I had long sleeve shirts on. Like I didn't dress like any of the other kids. And I never had like Z Cavaricis or Jabots or Skids or anything like that. I had Levi's. And so kids made fun of me. And I didn't hit my growth spurt and really start being good at football until I was like in 7th or 8th grade. And so I was bullied as a kid, and it kind of stuck with me. I never really liked bullies. I've always had a problem with authority because of it. I don't like people having control over me. And so a lot of, some personality, actual flaws, childhood trauma kind of comes out as well. So why is that relevant for us in sales? You have to have a place to be able to get that stuff out. You have to have a place to be able to work on that, develop it, and for you to, grow your inner child up. And my answer for that was actually in martial arts. I started studying martial arts after I finished my college football career. We were looking for something. I was getting fat. I was getting out of shape. I didn't like the way I felt every day. I was used to working out every single day with the team. So me and my buddy Chad, who I still love, we've been through a lot together, but I still love the dude. We looked for a place that would match our personality. So we started interviewing martial artists. I think it's very important when you look for somebody that's going to teach you something about a business strategy or tactic. You're going to study. You're going to dance. You're going to learn to dance. You're going to learn to sing. You're going to go play football. Your coaches should be people of integrity, and they should have already done it before. Don't hire somebody. Like I'm a coach, right? Don't hire somebody that's never done it before. They can't do it with you. They can't practice with you, spar with you, be able to actually say, I was on that football field in front of those people. I ran this play. I caught that ball. I made that tackle. I know what it's like. I can't coach baseball. I don't know what it's like to be in a batter's box. Can't do it. I'm not going to coach you to win a spelling bee either, because I can't spell Wednesday or restaurant. Those things still I have trouble with. So when we were evaluating who our martial artist coaches were going to be, we went and we met like 3 or 4 or 5 different instructors in Lafayette, Louisiana, and none of them impressed us. We took part in a class or two. It's like, dude, there's no way I can pancake this guy. I'm looking at him. It's kids in the class. We just didn't fit in. And then we found Senyama. And Senyama stands in, it means 3 mountains in Japanese. It was a very Japanese art, very, very focused in tradition. The classes, we countered in Japanese. The techniques were taught first in English and then in Japanese, but they assigned book reports. We had to read about Bujitsu and the Japanese samurai. We practiced a sword. We practiced with a bow staff and a jo staff and a knife. And we learned self-defense, and we learned Kempo, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, and Aikido or Akujitsu, the art of the samurai, broken up into these 3 fundamentals of Kempo, which is the striking, Jiu-Jitsu, which is the Judo is the way of, Jiu-Jitsu is like the war of, where we snap and break and throw. And then Aikido, which is the most Christian form of martial arts, which is I protect myself from the attacker. I protect the attacker from myself, and I protect the attacker from themselves, spinning them off into a better direction, not slamming their head into the ground. And so Sensei Dan is a guy who also has helped Sensei John and Sensei Mott, and back then it was Sensei Brian too. And we had these great influences, this melting pot of this thing. And I was 23, 24, 25, 26 years old when this was going on. And I loved every minute of it. I only ranked to orange belt because I'm a slow learner. Kata was very important back then. Some of the other guys I was training with ended up getting, purple and brown belt. And, but I've rediscovered my love and my passion for it. So I started going back to the same school. I reached out to my sensei. I had done some Krav Maga. I have done some other judo, some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing. Shit, I was a boxing coach for a little bit. I think I ruined my jab by learning how to box from a Kempo standpoint. From a boxing standpoint, I got a beautiful jab, but from a Kempo standpoint, I'm putting energy in the back of the funnel. And so I'm going to bring this back to a sales point here. Collision-based sales is basically martial arts for sales reps. Collision-based sales, the art of sales, the science of the sale, right? There's a technique. It requires fluidity. It requires agility. It requires flexibility. And it requires expansion if you want to get better at it, and reps and repetition. It's not something I can't do martial arts in my mind. I have to get on the mat. And I need somebody to practice with, right? And so what I found, and the reason this had such a big impact on me, like I didn't even realize when I was writing the curriculum for collision-based sales, I was in a seminar one time listening to a man talk about strategic seduction. I thought about seducing my own wife and seducing clients and having them want our offer instead of being forced and, using power and running over them, getting them to come to me or showing up in a place where I can blend with their energy. That's Aikido. That's martial arts. You have to have self-defense, but also in some aspects, you have to go on the attack. I don't want to hurt the person. I don't. What I'm trying to do is blend with their energy so that way I can walk with them, but they're defensive. And sometimes their best defense is a good offense and they go in the attack. I give them an idea that threatens it and they attack it and they kick it out of their mind. So if you're a salesperson and you're struggling with authority, obedience, you're struggling with discipline, you're struggling with reclaiming your body and generating power inside of your body, maybe you're struggling with, crystal clear communication, clarity, knowing what you want and saying what you want. Maybe you're struggling with being too defensive. You haven't figured out how to get that zanshin approach to life. Zanshin is a Japanese term for, it's hard to define, but I'll tell you a situation. If I'm sitting on a street corner in Japan and have a cup of coffee in my hand, and a stranger comes by me and he knocks the cup of coffee out of my hand, I don't flinch. I don't lose eye contact with him. I'm not scared because I'm in complete control of my emotions and I know what's going to happen next. I have confidence in my ability, but I'm not arrogant. I don't care about the coffee. I don't care about this person's anger because I know wherever the situation goes, I'm going to be able to tolerate it and overcome it. And so you have this coolness about you, this preparation about you, this confidence about you. That's Zanshin, right? We need to try to attempt to get to Zanshin inside of sales. That's why meditation, I preach so hard on meditation and prayer, being mindful and understanding how to give somebody else grace and mercy, right? Being able to have forgiveness for yourself whenever you fail, but also for others whenever they trespass you. Having communion with your brothers and your sisters and your other sales reps and cheering them on, not competing with them, but collaborating with them. When we are in a dojo and we're practicing martial arts against one another, we are not trying to hurt one another. We're trying to train one another. Coach Brian Q. Davis is one of my personal coaches in Warrior. He also has the Warrior podcast, Sales War podcast. He says, training is everything and everything is training. And he probably got that from somebody else that he quoted one time, but I'm giving him credit for it right now. Training is everything and everything is training. Everything is an opportunity for you to be able to train. So if you don't have a crew of people, man, if you're a lone wolf sales rep working for a sales organization and you're not working on cold call scripts to turn into gold call scripts, if you're not being challenged with questions of how you can get better, if you're not having targeting meetings about 90-day targets that impact your revenue, not the company's sales goals, your sales goals. Ask some of the sales reps that have worked for me in the past. The number one way I was able to drive results with any salesperson I've ever worked with is by sitting down with them and asking them what makes them tick. What results do they want out of their life? And I'm talking about down to what do they want out of their relationship? What do they want out of their paying off their debt, their student loan debt, their houses, their mortgage, their family, their body? Do they want to gain weight? Do they want to lose weight? Are they going to run a 5K or a marathon? Like, get into that mind space with a salesperson and have them motivated by their own mission. Then your job as a laboratory executive is to attach your mission to their mission. Their mission is to better their situation for their family. Their mission is to better their situation for themselves. Ultimately, all of them wake up and go to sleep, and they're thinking about how to better their position in life. And if you are a lab owner or a lab executive and you don't understand that about them, they're not there to better your position in life. You're there to serve them to better their position in life. People talk about service, being a servant leader. That's what servant leadership is how can I help them get their goals? When I've screwed this up, I've been in organizations that culture wasn't allowed. The leadership didn't get it. They didn't understand it. They were vampires. They sucked everything out of the sales rep. They lied to them about what was going on. They fed them bits and pieces of information. They didn't give them transparency in a billing report. They had no marketing to support them, but yet they expected everything. Very little given, expectations very, very high. You can't do that. You can't train your salespeople like they're white belts and then go out into the dojo and have them spar against black belts. They'll get their asses kicked every single time. So as you're thinking about this, think about places in your life. God, man, if you could join a martial arts gym and start learning something, go learn to box, learn to fight, do some CrossFit, get sweaty, start working out just to start your day or end your day. Build power inside of yourselves, get clarity in your mind, learn how to meditate, love your family, learn how to sell clinical and communicate with your clients. With that, guys, I'll leave you to it. You've been listening to Lab Results with Blake, with your host, Blake Bork. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Remember, greatness is contagious.